Hello, I'm Noir Nerd, and welcome to this quick overview of a new project I've been working on, creating a digital version of T S Eliot's The Hollow Man. It's a very famous modernist poem, and I've created a web application using Threejs, HTML, CSS, and this video is just going to be a quick overview of the app itself, and I'll talk a bit about the code I've used very briefly. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll just talk a bit about the app itself. Okay, so the first page we have auto playing video of a scene from Atonement playing, and then we have the stanzas all listed here. The app's partially been created as a promotion for an art exhibition coming up later this month, so obviously it mentions that and it incorporates a timer in the application. So let's have just a quick look at the graphics it uses using Threejs, and I'll just show what it does. So click on stanza 1, we see stanza 1 of the poem, and this pretty funky sort of animated Threejs graphics, 3D graphics running in the browser. I've tried to sort of tie in each graphic in a sort of abstract way with the text. I mean, it's more just feelings, a sort of visual feeling, I guess, that I've tried to tie it in with, but you get the idea. So this is the first stanza. We are the hollow men, we are the stuffed men, leaning together, headpiece filled with straw, alas, our dried voices when we whisper together. And then you've got this counter below here. Just below the poem itself, I've tried to make it quite enigmatic. I don't want it too in your face. The whole idea of this application is that it's sort of cryptic in some respects, as the poem is itself in some respects. T S Eliot was quite a cryptic poet. And then we've got number 2. It's in a similar vein, different animation, and stanza 2, and the same counter implemented. And each page, based on this response to mouse movement, so it's responding there. I'm just moving my mouse and it's moving. My face is less bright now because this is less of a bit of a darker graphic. Okay, third one. I think this is probably one of my favourite ones. Sort of like a weird sun, glitch effect again, playing in the background. And I think it's the shortest stanza in the poem. Again, the timer counting down to the beginning of the private view of the show. So the idea of this obviously is that, twinkle of a fading star, we've got a star here, and then all these sort of distorted, and then this responds to changes colour based on where your mouse is. So if I move my mouse over the red cubes, that responds. Move it over the yellow sun, that responds. So pretty cool. And this is probably the most radically different of all the visualizations. This is, in fact, a straight lift from Threejs, which some of the others were a bit, but more my own code, whereas this is more of an example I found and then just modified it a bit. But I thought it fitted the feeling of this stanza perfectly. So this is about dying stars, and this valley of dying stars is probably the main chunk of the poem here. So I thought, it's sort of like expanding, contracting sun graphic with the lines really fitted that. So yeah, we'll look at some of the code for that in a second as well. And then let's go on to number 5. Similar to the other ones, the last stanza, the counter, and it's got obviously the infamous line, "This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but with a whimper." Very famous lines there. And we have these, I kind of like this idea of explosive, just an explosive scattering of shapes. Again, it's responding to my mouse going over them, so it flashes quite a lot because the mouse, there's quite a lot of objects on there. So it's a really fun exercise in playing with Threejs, seeing what it could do. Also, you can trigger sound. Just doesn't happen anymore, from what I can tell when I was doing this development on this. I think it's quite a new thing. I think Google implemented a lot of. It's quite annoying in some respects. I mean, I understand why they've done it, but to get like, I mean, you can't actually autoplay videos with sound anymore, which is fine for many things. This is just going to be ranting a bit now, but for things like this, where it's specifically a multimedia app, it creates a lot of headaches. So I got around that just by basically making it so there's you get prompted. I'm probably breaking some sort of copyright law there by showing the video, but it's not like I'm making money from this. It's literally just a promotional application for an art exhibition. So anyway, let's have a look at some of the code. Let me just open up Visual Code. That's open, that's useful. So this is our index page. It's got that's just the on-click event for playing the sound. Just some HTML. Look at the CSS, there's not much really in there. It's just some font family defined. They've imported in some fonts here from Google fonts just to give it a bit more stylistic flair. And we've got some for the timer, yada yada yada. I'm not going to go into that too much. What we really want to look at is one of the examples on the Threejs. Now Threejs takes a while to get used to. A lot of these are like sort of reworked reworking from the examples, like adding geometry, shapes and stuff. That's how you do anything. So Threejs is actually importing Threejs in there, and also I've imported in a bunch of libraries from their GitHub, which is mostly for the post-processing. Pretty much all, I think, actually for the post-processing effects, the sort of glitching weird effects that happens earlier on. So that's what all that scripts, source, JS, effect composer stuff is. Yada yada yada. And I won't go too much over this, but yeah, so you've got some variables for set of container of the camera, etc. And some methods called here: initiate, start time, and animate. Animate function animates the Threejs on the canvas, WebGL on the canvas, sorry. This is where the actual calculation occurs. So this is the date of the exhibition starts. So I've added a new date, November the 30th. It starts at 6:30, so I've added that. And get time. Now just gets the time right now, like right at the second of loading. And then distance is just that. Take away what the value of now is. And then a bunch of calculations for days, hours, minutes and seconds. Which I had to look up some of them, but it's just a case of looking it up really. And then I append some HTML to that. There you go. In a HTML, just adds a div timer sec, which is what I briefly looked at a second ago in the CSS. And it adds those variables, so days, blah blah blah. And then we've got a bit of an if statement, because when we want to make it so that when the timer finishes, it does something instead of just displaying a minus value, which it will do. We'll just have it. So if it reaches 0, i.e. it's equal differences, then it goes to displays another message: we are the Hollow Man. And it updates every, I think, a second. Okay, and this is just adding some divs. So I won't go too much into that. I want to keep this quite short. I'll put it in another few minutes. And we've got this. So these are appending those div styling. I think the example that I looked at just did it this way. I'm probably sure there's other ways of doing it, but that's just where I learned how to do it. Looking at the example, then we had a camera, some settings there. Let a scene, color with some background, some lighting with var light, and then via Threejs directional light added. Position it, add it to the scene. And this is the real meat of where something's happening. So this example is the first one with the green against the white background. You set up a for loop, make it loop 4,000 times. So as long as I is less than 4,000, sorry, and then increment the I. So just done a for loop, and then do this 4,000 times. So create a new mesh, and yeah, circle. So we define the geometry here. So geometry is a circle. So the colors set there, and then all this stuff does is randomly position the object and randomly scale the object as well, so you get a bit of variety. And I'm not going to go too much into the post-processing. I don't really understand that much of what's going on there, but it does work. I know that much. So there we go. Effect, post-processing, new free processor, blah blah blah. Add the effect, basically, is what it's doing here. Composer, add pass, update options, and all this stuff down here, which again, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here that much, but this is where the mouse intersects with the object, change the color. That's basically what's happening here. Intersected, material emissive, set hex. So yeah, that's a really quite fast overview of this project. Check it out in the link below. Leave any comments if you have. And know any more efficient ways of using Threejs, know any more really interesting things you can do with Threejs, leave comments below. Subscribe to me. I do a lot of I do a mixture of tutorials and sort of code overviews, this being more of a code overview, but I sort of mix it up a bit. Probably going to be doing more Threejs stuff. It's a very powerful library. I'm a big fan of it. It sort of feels like really next generation when you're doing coding projects with Threejs, and it's always very rewarding to code with. A very rewarding library to code with. With that, I'm going to say adios. Hope that's been informative, giving you a quick little overview of what something that Threejs can do, and a bit of an insight into a project I've just worked on recently. So, cheers.